Protect your energy, guard your time, master the art of living on your own terms. Master not caring too much. Reclaim your time, energy and focus by setting boundaries. Written by Dremvik Alvern and published by Listen, Grow, Sleep. Before we begin, please help this channel out by dropping a like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content, and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. It's always awesome to see where people are watching from around the world. Now listen, grow, and hopefully you fall asleep. Now let's dive in. Introduction: the life-changing magic. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you could gather up all the unnecessary tasks, events, obligations, and relationships in your life and simply let them go without a single regret? We've all heard about decluttering our physical spaces. Maybe you've even tried it yourself, collecting all your possessions, deciding what brings joy, and saying goodbye to that extra set of kitchen utensils in pursuit of a calmer, happier life. But what if we could apply that same liberating principle to everything else in our lives? What if we could be free to focus our precious time, energy, and money only on the things that truly make us happy? I'm here to tell you that not only is it possible, it's transformative. And I call it the life-changing magic of not caring or giving a F, to keep it appropriate, if you will. Chapter 1. Understanding your F budget. Before we dive into how to stop caring about things that don't matter, we need to understand what it means to give a F in the first place. When you give a F about something, you're investing in it. You care about it. It matters to you. Let's take this concept a step further and define your Fs as your most valuable resources: your time, your energy, and your money. These resources are finite. You only have so much to give. And yet, how often do we squander them on things we don't actually care about? Think about something you genuinely don't care about. Maybe it's a popular TV show everyone else seems obsessed with. If you truly don't care about it, why would you spend time watching it? Why would you waste energy discussing theories about it? Why would you spend money on merchandise related to it? That's the essence of not giving a F. It's about making calculated decisions about where your precious resources go. By being intentional about what gets your attention and what doesn't, you end up with more time, energy, and money to spend on the things you genuinely care about. This is what I call making an F budget. And trust me, it's revolutionary. Chapter 2. The Not Sorry Method. 2.5 years ago, I was living what many would consider a dream life. I had climbed the corporate ladder to become a senior editor at a major New York publishing house. I had a roster of best-selling authors. Everything I thought I wanted from my career was coming to fruition. There was just one problem. I was profoundly unhappy. Not just had a bad day, unhappy. I'm talking about the kind of unhappy that makes it difficult to get out of bed in the morning. The kind that makes a 45-minute subway commute feel like torture. The kind that makes 8 to 10 hours at a desk feel like an eternity, only to go home and dread doing it all over again the next day. So I made a decision that terrified me. I quit. It wasn't easy. There were plenty of tears and late nights questioning my sanity, but what happened after I quit was nothing short of life-changing. Once I removed myself from the culture and lifestyle that had been making me so miserable, I was free to focus my time and energy on what would actually make me happy. This included working, but in a completely different way, and eventually moving from Brooklyn to a tropical island. I stopped giving my Fs to working for a corporation, wearing uncomfortable clothes, and enduring long commutes. Instead, I started giving my Fs to working for myself, wearing what I wanted and taking long walks on the beach. The transformation wasn't because I had tidied up my apartment. It happened because I cleared out my mind. Imagine your mind as a barn. Inside are all the things that bring you joy, but also all the stuff that annoys you. The potential for a happy life is there, but you have to clear out the annoyances to make room for joy. This is mental decluttering, and it is truly magical. I stumbled into it accidentally when I quit my job, but it was so transformative that I developed a way for you to do it intentionally. I call it the Not Sorry Method. It has just 2 simple steps. Step 1. Decide what you don't give a F about. Step 2. Don't give a F about those things. Sounds simple, right? But I know what you're thinking. This sounds like a recipe for becoming a complete jerk. That's where the not sorry part comes in. My method is all about not giving a F while still maintaining honesty and politeness. When you follow this approach, you don't have to feel guilty. You're on your best behavior and you have nothing to apologize for. You are, quite literally, not sorry. And importantly, you're not being a jerk either. So how might this work in your life? Let's say you've been invited to a Sunday night dinner party, but it conflicts with something you truly enjoy. You feel bad about declining the invitation, but you know what you'd rather be doing. Well, you only have so much time, energy, and money to spend on Sunday night, so you need to consult your F budget and decide which activity brings you more joy. Then allocate your F bucks accordingly. If you respond in a timely, honest, and polite manner, "No thanks, I can't make it to the dinner party," you've done nothing wrong. You don't have to be sorry about it. And this is just the beginning. You can apply the not sorry method to anything: tasks, events, obligations, even people. Start by making a list of everything that's cluttering up your mental barn. All the impositions on your time, energy, and money. These are the Fs you're being asked to give. To keep it manageable, I categorize them. For example, work might be one category, and within it could be mandatory meetings, conference calls, a co-worker's charity event, a going-away party for someone you don't even like, and doing your actual job. Once you've listed everything out, apply the not sorry method. Step 1. Identify what annoys you, the non-essential stuff you don't care about. Step 2. Stop giving your Fs, in the form of time, energy, and money, to those things. Then cross them off your list with a big black marker. It feels surprisingly good. Just go with it. Yes, there are some things you can't avoid. You may have to go to work every day and attend certain mandatory meetings, but you absolutely do not have to attend a going-away party for a colleague you don't even like. If you're still struggling to let go, try this visualization exercise. Picture how you'll feel when you walk into that party. Will you be annoyed or full of joy? Imagine it's been a long day, your feet hurt, you don't enjoy socializing with colleagues outside the office, and you certainly don't love warm beer from a pitcher. What should you do? RSVP. No, of course. Why would you spend your F bucks or your actual bucks on this party? The answer is usually obligation and guilt. You're psyching yourself out of a perfectly reasonable no before you even try it. Most people don't think this through. They immediately say yes to things like this, then waste time, energy, and money on an unenjoyable night out. They waste even more time dreading the event beforehand and trying to find ways to get out of it later. And if you do bail at the last minute after never intending to go in the first place, then you actually are being a jerk, and you should feel bad about that. Instead, pause, visualize, and say a timely, polite, "No, thanks, can't make it." This is how you stop spending time you don't have, with people you don't like, doing things you don't want to do. The result? You'll be less busy, less burdened, less annoyed. You'll have so much more time, energy, and money at your disposal, and you'll wonder why you didn't start setting these boundaries years ago. Chapter 3. Overcoming the guilt barrier. Let's be honest. The hardest part about not giving AF isn't the concept itself. It's the guilt that comes with it. We're conditioned from an early age to be people pleasers, to put others' needs before our own, to say yes when we want to say no, to attend events we don't want to attend, to spend time with people who drain our energy. This conditioning runs deep, and it creates what I call the guilt barrier. That uncomfortable feeling that stops you from protecting your time, energy, and money. But here's the truth. Guilt is just another annoyance cluttering up your mental barn, and it's time to sweep it out. Think about it this way. Every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're saying no to something you might actually enjoy. Every hour spent at that boring dinner party is an hour you could have spent reading a book, taking a bath, calling a friend you actually like, or simply doing nothing at all. Your time is finite, Your energy is precious, your money is limited, and you get to decide how to spend them. Let me share a personal example. When I first started practicing the not sorry method, I was invited to a baby shower for a distant acquaintance. My immediate instinct was to say yes, because that's what you do, right? You go to baby showers when you're invited. But then I paused and asked myself, do I actually want to go to this baby shower? Will it bring me joy? The answer was a resounding no. I barely knew this person. I didn't particularly enjoy baby showers. And I had a deadline for a writing project I was genuinely excited about. So I politely declined. I sent a nice gift and a heartfelt note, but I didn't attend the shower. And you know what? The world didn't end. The acquaintance wasn't offended. And I spent that Sunday afternoon working on my writing project, which brought me immense satisfaction. That's the power of overcoming the guilt barrier. It frees you to invest your resources in what truly matters to you. But how do you actually overcome this deeply ingrained guilt? Here are 3 practical strategies. First, practice the pause. When you're asked to do something, don't respond immediately. Take a breath. Take a day if you need it. Give yourself space to check in with your authentic desires. Second, use the joy test. Ask yourself, will this bring me joy or will it bring me annoyance? Be brutally honest with yourself. Third, remember that no is a complete sentence. You don't need to over-explain or justify your decision. A simple, I can't make it, or that doesn't work for me, is sufficient. The more you practice overcoming the guilt barrier, the easier it becomes. Eventually, saying no to things that don't serve you will feel as natural as saying yes to things that do. And that's when the real magic happens. Chapter 4. The Art of the Annoyance List. Now that you understand the concept of the F-budget and have learned the not sorry method, it's time to get practical. It's time to create your annoyance list. An annoyance list is exactly what it sounds like. A comprehensive inventory of all the things in your life that annoy you, drain your energy, waste your time, or cost you money without bringing you joy in return. This list is your roadmap to freedom. It's the first tangible step in reclaiming your time, energy, and focus. So grab a notebook, pour yourself a drink, or a cup of tea if that's more your style, and let's get started. First, divide your life into categories. I recommend starting with these 5: work, relationships, social obligations, home, and digital life. Under each category, list everything that annoys you. Be specific, be honest, be thorough. For example, under work, you might list unnecessary meetings that could be emails, the colleague who always stops by your desk to chat when you're busy, the expectation to answer emails after hours, the uncomfortable office chair that hurts your back, the long commute. Under relationships, you might include the friend who only calls when they need something, the family member who always criticizes your choices, the acquaintance who constantly tries to sell you on their multi-level marketing scheme. Under social obligations, consider baby showers for people you barely know, networking events that never lead to actual connections, holiday parties you attend out of obligation rather than desire. For home, think about the cluttered closet you've been meaning to organize, the neighbor who plays loud music at night, the household chores you hate doing. And for digital life, you might list the social media platforms that leave you feeling drained, the email newsletters you never read, the group texts that blow up your phone with notifications. Once you've created your comprehensive annoyance list, it's time to apply the not sorry method to each item. For each annoyance, ask yourself, is this essential to my survival or well-being? Does this bring me any joy whatsoever? What would happen if I stopped giving my Fs to this? If something is truly essential, like paying your rent or feeding your children, then it stays on your plate, even if it's annoying. But you'd be surprised how many things on your list aren't actually essential. For the non-essential annoyances, it's time to start crossing them off, one by one. With that big black marker I mentioned earlier, unsubscribe from those email newsletters, mute that draining group chat, decline that invitation to the networking event, set boundaries with that energy vampire friend. This process isn't about becoming a hermit or cutting people out of your life indiscriminately. It's about being intentional with your resources. It's about making space for what truly matters by eliminating what doesn't. And here's the beautiful thing. As you cross items off your annoyance list, you'll feel lighter, freer, more energized. You'll have more space in your mental barn for the things that bring you genuine joy. Creating and acting on your annoyance list isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing practice. New annoyances will creep into your life. That's inevitable. But now you have the tools to recognize them and decide whether they deserve your Fs or not. This is the art of the annoyance list. Master it, and you'll master the life-changing magic of not giving AF. Chapter 5. Setting boundaries with people you love. So far, we've talked about saying no to events, obligations, and acquaintances. But what about the people closest to you? Your family, your best friends, your partner? How do you set boundaries with the people you genuinely love and want to keep in your life? This is where the not sorry method gets truly challenging and truly transformative. Let's start with a fundamental truth. Loving someone doesn't mean giving them unlimited access to your time, energy, and money. In fact, setting healthy boundaries is essential for maintaining loving relationships. Think about it. When you're constantly depleted because you can't say no to the people you love, you show up as a lesser version of yourself. You become resentful, exhausted, and emotionally unavailable. And that doesn't serve anyone, not you, and not the people you care about. Setting boundaries with loved ones isn't about pushing them away. It's about creating the conditions for your relationship to thrive. The myth of unconditional availability. There's a dangerous myth in our culture that says if you truly love someone, you should be unconditionally available to them. You should drop everything when they call. You should always prioritize their needs above your own. You should never say no to them. This myth is not only false, it's harmful. It creates codependent relationships where both parties suffer. The boundary setter suffers from exhaustion and resentment. The boundary crosser suffers from an unhealthy dependence and unrealistic expectations. True love isn't about unconditional availability. It's about mutual respect, support, and understanding. It's about creating a relationship where both people can thrive as individuals while also nurturing their connection. Let me share another personal example. When I first moved to my tropical island, my friends and family from back home were thrilled to have a free place to stay on vacation. And at first, I was thrilled to have them visit. But after a while, I noticed something. I was spending all my time playing tour guide, cooking meals, and accommodating guests. My work was suffering. My personal time had vanished. And I was starting to dread seeing names I loved pop up in my inbox with the subject line, "Booking flights." I had to set a boundary. And it wasn't easy. I decided that I would welcome visitors, but only for a maximum of 5 days, and only once every 3 months. I also made it clear that I would need to work during weekdays, and that guests would be responsible for their own breakfast and lunch. Was it uncomfortable to communicate these boundaries? Absolutely. Did I worry about hurting feelings? You bet. But I did it anyway, with honesty and politeness. And you know what? The people who truly loved me understood. They respected my boundaries. And our relationships actually improved because I was no longer harboring secret resentment about their visits. The different types of boundaries. Before we dive into how to set boundaries with loved ones, it's important to understand that boundaries come in different forms. Recognizing which type you need to establish can help you communicate more effectively. Physical boundaries relate to your personal space, privacy, and body. Maybe you need your partner to understand that you don't want to be touched when you're feeling overwhelmed. Or perhaps you need your roommate to knock before entering your bedroom. Time boundaries protect your schedule and how you spend your hours. This might mean establishing work hours when you're not to be interrupted, or setting aside specific days for self-care that are non-negotiable. Emotional boundaries guard your right to your own feelings without taking responsibility for others' emotions. For instance, you can support a friend through a breakup without feeling obligated to be their 24/7 therapist. Financial boundaries protect your money and resources. Maybe you need to make it clear to family members that you can't be their emergency fund anymore, or that you won't lend money without a repayment plan. Digital boundaries relate to your online presence and communication. This could mean not responding to work emails after 6 p.m. or asking family members not to post photos of your children without permission. Identifying which type of boundary you need to set can help you articulate your needs more clearly and implement more effective solutions. Common boundary violations in close relationships. To set effective boundaries, it's helpful to recognize common ways they get violated in close relationships. Here are some patterns you might recognize. The guilt trip. If you really loved me, you would. The emotional hostage taking. I'll be devastated if you don't. The boundary bulldozer. Repeatedly ignoring your stated limits as if you never expressed them. The boundary test. Pushing a little further each time to see what they can get away with. The emergency creator. Everything is always a crisis that requires your immediate attention. The time thief. Consistently running late, cancelling at the last minute, or extending visits well beyond the agreed upon time. The emotional dumper. Using you as their sole emotional support system without regard for your capacity. Recognizing these patterns can help you identify where you need to establish or reinforce boundaries in your relationships. How to set boundaries with the people you love. Now, let's get practical. Here's a comprehensive guide to setting boundaries with the people closest to you. First, get clear on what you need. Do you need one night a week to yourself? Do you need your partner to stop interrupting you when you're working? Do you need your parents to stop commenting on your weight? Identify the specific boundary you want to set. Take time to reflect on why this boundary matters to you. Understanding your own motivation will help you communicate more effectively and stand firm when challenged. Is this boundary about protecting your mental health, your productivity, your sense of self? Be honest with yourself about what's at stake. Second, choose the right time and place for the conversation. Don't try to set a boundary in the heat of an argument or when you're already feeling violated. Instead, find a neutral moment when both you and the other person are calm and receptive. Create a setting that's private and free from distractions. Turn off the TV, put away your phones, and make sure you won't be interrupted. This signals that the conversation is important and deserves full attention. Third, communicate directly and compassionately. Use I statements rather than you accusations. For example, I need one evening a week to recharge, rather than you're always demanding my time. Be specific about what you need. Vague boundaries are easy to misinterpret or ignore. Instead of saying, I need more space, try, I need Tuesday evenings to myself without phone calls or visits. Explain the positive impact this boundary will have on your relationship. For instance, having this time to recharge will help me be more present and engaged when we're together. Fourth, be prepared for pushback. When you change the rules of engagement, people will naturally resist. They've grown accustomed to having unlimited access to your resources. Stand firm, but remain kind. Anticipate common reactions like guilt tripping, anger, or dismissal. Prepare responses that are calm but firm. For example, if someone says, I can't believe you're being so selfish, you might respond, I understand this feels different, but taking care of my needs isn't selfish. It's necessary. Remember that you don't need the other person's permission to set a boundary. While it's nice when others understand and support your boundaries, their approval isn't required for you to implement them. Fifth, remember that actions speak louder than words. If you say you need one night a week to yourself, but then give in when someone asks for your time, you're teaching them that your boundaries are negotiable. Be consistent in enforcing your boundaries. Each time you uphold them, you're reinforcing their importance both to yourself and to others. Each time you allow them to be violated, you're sending the message that they're optional. Have a plan for when boundaries are crossed. Decide in advance how you'll respond if someone ignores your limits. This might mean ending a phone call, leaving a gathering, or temporarily limiting contact until your boundary is respected. Sixth, recognize that setting boundaries is an act of love for yourself and for others. When you honor your own needs, you show up more fully for the people you care about. Setting boundaries isn't just about saying no. It's also about creating space to say a more enthusiastic yes to the aspects of relationships that truly matter to you. When you're not depleted by boundary violations, you have more energy for meaningful connection. Real-life examples of boundary setting in action. Let's look at some specific examples of how boundary setting might play out in different relationships. With a partner who texts constantly throughout the workday, "I love hearing from you during the day, but I'm finding that responding to texts is breaking my concentration at work. I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb between 9 a.m. and noon, and between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. I'll check messages during my breaks, and I'm all yours after work hours." With parents who offer unsolicited advice about your parenting. "Mom and Dad, I know you care about the kids and have a lot of experience as parents. I value your wisdom, but when you offer advice without me asking, it makes me feel like you don't trust my judgment. I'd appreciate it if you could wait until I ask for suggestions. That would help me feel more supported in my parenting journey." With a friend who always vents but never asks about your life. "I care about you and want to support you through tough times. Lately though, I've noticed our conversations are mostly about your challenges and we rarely talk about what's going on in my life. I need more balance in our friendship. Can we make sure to check in with each other equally when we talk?" With adult children who expect you to babysit on demand. "I love spending time with my grandchildren and I want to be part of their lives. To make this work with my schedule, I need at least 3 days' notice for babysitting requests. I'm happy to commit to every other Friday night as a standing date, but for other times, I need advance notice and the ability to say no if I have other commitments." With siblings who make hurtful comments disguised as jokes. When you make comments about my weight, job, a relationship status, even as a joke, it hurts my feelings. I know you don't intend to hurt me, but the impact is still painful. I need you to stop making those kinds of comments completely. The aftermath. What happens when you set boundaries? The people who truly love you will adjust to your boundaries. They might not like them at first, but they'll respect them because they respect you. And those who can't or won't respect your boundaries, well, that's valuable information about the nature of your relationship. It might be time to reconsider how much of your F-budget they deserve. Setting boundaries often acts as a relationship filter. It reveals who is capable of respecting you and who isn't. This can be painful when someone you care about falls into the latter category, but it's ultimately clarifying. Sometimes setting a boundary will actually strengthen a relationship. The other person might feel relieved to know exactly what you need, rather than having to guess. They might even be inspired to set some healthy boundaries of their own. Other times, a boundary might create temporary tension that resolves as both parties adjust to the new normal. Be patient during this adjustment period and remember that discomfort doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. In some cases, setting a boundary might lead to the end of a relationship. This is rare with truly loving connections, but it does happen, especially with relationships that were already unhealthy or one-sided. While painful, this outcome makes space in your life for relationships that are more respectful and balanced. Setting boundaries with loved ones isn't a one-time conversation. It's an ongoing practice of honoring your needs while nurturing your relationships. It's a delicate balance, but it's absolutely worth the effort. Because when you stop giving your Fs to the aspects of relationships that drain you, you have so much more to give to the aspects that fulfill you. Your connections become deeper, more authentic, and more sustainable. And isn't that what love is really all about? Chapter 6, The Joy of Missing Out. We've all heard of FOMO, the fear of missing out. That anxious feeling that somewhere, somehow, something amazing is happening and you're not there to experience it. FOMO is the enemy of the F-budget. It tricks you into saying yes to things you don't actually want to do, just because you're afraid of missing something. It keeps you scrolling through social media when you could be reading a book. It makes you attend events that drain your energy just because everyone will be there. But there's an antidote to FOMO, and it's what I call JOMO, the joy of missing out. JOMO is the delicious feeling of relief when you choose not to participate in something that doesn't align with your F-budget. It's the contentment of being exactly where you want to be, doing exactly what you want to do, regardless of what everyone else is doing. The psychology of FOMO. Before we dive into JOMO, let's understand why FOMO has such a powerful grip on us. FOMO isn't just a trendy acronym, it's a real psychological phenomenon. Studies have shown that FOMO is linked to lower mood, lower life satisfaction, and higher levels of social anxiety. It's that persistent worry that others are having rewarding experiences that you're missing out on. This fear has always existed in human psychology. We're social creatures wired to be concerned about our place in the group. But social media has amplified FOMO to unprecedented levels. Now we can see in real time exactly what we're missing. The parties, the vacations, the achievements, the connections. Every time you open Instagram or Facebook, you're bombarded with carefully curated highlights from other people's lives. It's a constant stream of evidence suggesting that everyone else is living their best life while you're somehow falling behind. This creates a vicious cycle. You feel anxious about missing out, so you say yes to things you don't actually want to do. You attend events that don't bring you joy. You exhaust yourself trying to keep up with an impossible standard. And in the process, you drain your budget on things that don't actually matter to you. The result? You have less time, energy, and money for the things that would genuinely bring you satisfaction. You're constantly chasing the next experience rather than fully enjoying the present moment. But here's the truth. Those social media posts, they're highlights, not reality. That amazing party, it probably had boring moments too. That perfect vacation, it likely included travel delays and arguments. That seemingly perfect relationship, it has its struggles just like any other. Understanding the psychology of FOMO is the first step toward breaking free from its grip. When you recognize that FOMO is based on an illusion, the illusion that everyone else is having a perfect time all the time, you can begin to see it for what it really is. A thief of your joy and a drain on your budget. My JOMO awakening. Let me tell you about my first experience with JOMO. It was New Year's Eve, and I had been invited to 3 different parties. In previous years, I would have tried to make an appearance at all 3, rushing from one to the next, never fully present at any of them, all because of FOMO. But this particular year, I had just started practicing the not sorry method. I looked at the invitations and asked myself, what do I actually want to do on New Year's Eve? And the answer surprised me. I wanted to stay home. I wanted to order takeout, watch a movie, take a bubble bath, and be in bed by 10:30 p.m. I wanted to wake up on January 1st, feeling rested and refreshed, not hungover and exhausted. So that's exactly what I did. I politely declined all 3 invitations. And as I sank into my bubble bath at 9 p.m. on December 31st, I felt it. JOMO. The pure, unadulterated joy of missing out on something I didn't actually want to do. The next day, as I scrolled through social media and saw the bleary-eyed posts from friends who had stayed out until 3 a.m., I didn't feel an ounce of regret. I felt validated in my choice. I had given my F's to what truly mattered to me, rest, relaxation, and self-care, rather than to what society dictated I should do on New Year's Eve. That's the power of JOMO. It's freedom from the tyranny of social expectations. It's permission to live life on your own terms. But my JOMO journey didn't stop there. Once I had tasted the freedom of choosing my own path regardless of social pressure, I wanted more. I started declining invitations to professional networking events that had always felt forced and inauthentic to me. Instead, I focused on building deeper connections with a smaller number of colleagues whose work genuinely inspired me. I stopped forcing myself to read the latest bestsellers just because everyone was talking about them. Instead, I revisited beloved classics and explored niche topics that truly fascinated me. I quit 3 different committees that I had joined out of a sense of obligation rather than passion. The time and energy I reclaimed allowed me to focus on writing my book, something I had been putting off for years. Each time I chose to miss out on something that didn't align with my values, I experienced that same delicious feeling of relief and satisfaction. JOMO became my superpower. The JOMO Manifesto, Principles for Embracing the Joy of Missing Out. If you're ready to trade FOMO for JOMO, here are the core principles to guide your journey. Your presence is a gift, not an obligation. Be selective about where you bestow it. No is a complete sentence. You don't need to justify your choices to anyone. Quality trumps quantity in all things: experiences, possessions, and relationships. The present moment, fully experienced, is worth more than a dozen half-experienced moments. What others think of your choices is none of your business. Rest is productive. Downtime is essential. Solitude is valuable. Your time, energy, and money are finite resources. Invest them wisely. The best memories often come from the simplest experiences. Social media is a highlight reel, not reality. The fear of missing out is always worse than actually missing out. Print these out, tape them to your mirror, set them as your phone background. Let them be your guide as you navigate a world designed to trigger your FOMO at every turn. Practical strategies for cultivating JOMO. Now, let's get practical. Here are specific strategies for embracing the joy of missing out in your daily life. Audit your social media use. Notice how you feel before, during, and after scrolling. If you consistently feel worse afterward, that's valuable data. Consider deleting apps that trigger FOMO, setting time limits, or having designated social media free days. Create a JOMO jar. Every time you decline an invitation to something you don't want to attend, put the money you would have spent into the jar. Watch it grow, and then use those funds for something that brings you genuine joy. Practice the 24-hour rule. When invited to something non-urgent, tell the person you'll get back to them in 24 hours. Use that time to check in with yourself about whether you truly want to attend. Develop a JOMO mantra. Mine is, I am exactly where I need to be. Repeat your mantra when FOMO starts creeping in. Start a JOMO journal. Document instances when choosing to miss out led to unexpected joy or relief. Review these entries when you're tempted to say yes out of FOMO. Create JOMO rituals. Designate certain times or activities as sacred JOMO moments. Maybe it's Sunday mornings with coffee and a book, or Wednesday evenings with a bubble bath and no phone. Protect these times fiercely. Find your JOMO tribe. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and share your values around intentional living. Distance yourself from those who trigger or reinforce your FOMO. Question the shoulds. Whenever you catch yourself thinking, I should go to this or I should want this, pause and ask, says who? Often these shoulds are societal expectations that don't align with your personal values. Practice being fully present. When you do choose to participate in something, be all there. Put your phone away. Engage fully with the people and activities around you. This reduces the tendency to wonder what else you could be doing instead. Celebrate your JOMO wins. When you successfully choose to miss out on something that doesn't align with your F budget, acknowledge it as a victory, not a loss. JOMO in different life domains. The joy of missing out can be applied to every area of your life. Here's how it might look in different domains. JOMO at work. Declining meetings where your presence isn't essential, not checking email during evenings and weekends, saying no to additional projects when your plate is already full, missing out on office gossip and politics, choosing not to climb the corporate ladder if it doesn't align with your values. JOMO in relationships. Skipping large gatherings in favor of intimate dinners with close friends, not attending every single event in your extended family's calendar, missing out on relationships that drain rather than fulfill you, choosing not to date when you're enjoying your solitude, declining to participate in relationship milestones, like marriage or children, if they don't align with your desires. JOMO with technology. Not upgrading to the latest gadget just because it's new, missing out on viral trends and memes, choosing not to be available 24/7 via text or email, opting out of certain social media platforms entirely, enjoying activities without documenting them for online sharing. JOMO with possessions. Not buying the latest fashion trends, missing out on collecting things that don't bring you joy, choosing a smaller home with less maintenance, driving an older car that's paid off rather than leasing something new, skipping Black Friday and other shopping events. JOMO with information. Not watching the news every day, missing out on certain TV shows, even if everyone is talking about them. Being selective about which books you read, choosing not to have an opinion on every trending topic, filtering out information that doesn't serve your growth or happiness. From FOMO to JOMO, a transformation story. Let me share one more personal story about the transformative power of JOMO. A few years ago, I was invited to a destination wedding in Bali. The couple were acquaintances rather than close friends, but everyone in our social circle was going. The photos would be stunning. The experience would be unforgettable. My FOMO was through the roof. But when I sat down to look at the actual costs, financial, temporal, and emotional, the picture changed. The trip would cost thousands of dollars. It would require taking a week off work during a busy period. It would mean spending extended time with people I didn't know well and navigating complex social dynamics. After much deliberation, I declined the invitation. I sent a thoughtful gift and a heartfelt note wishing the couple well. The week of the wedding arrived, and instead of being in Bali, I was at home. But here's what I did with the resources I had preserved. With the money I saved, I took my parents on a weekend trip to a nearby lake house, something we had been talking about doing for years but never prioritized. With the time I saved, I finally started the creative writing course I had been putting off. With the emotional energy I preserved, I was fully present for a close friend who was going through a difficult divorce that same week. As I sat on the dock with my parents, watching the sunset and listening to their stories, I felt it again. That powerful JOMO. I wasn't in Bali, and that was more than okay. I was exactly where I needed to be, investing my Fs in what truly mattered to me. Later I saw the wedding photos on social media. They were indeed beautiful, but not once did I regret my decision. Because JOMO isn't about missing out on something good, it's about opting into something better, something that aligns with your authentic self and your true priorities. So how do you cultivate JOMO in your own life? Start by questioning the source of your FOMO. Is it coming from within you, or is it imposed by external forces? Are you genuinely interested in that event, or do you just feel like you should attend? Are you scrolling through Instagram because it brings you joy, or because you're afraid of missing something? Next, practice being fully present in whatever you choose to do. If you decide to stay home instead of going to a party, really enjoy staying home. Don't spend the evening checking social media to see what you're missing. Immerse yourself in the pleasure of your choice. Remember that for every yes, there is an implicit no, and vice versa. When you say no to that networking event, you're saying yes to an evening with your family. When you decline that destination wedding for a distant acquaintance, you're accepting more money in your vacation fund for a trip you'll actually enjoy. Finally, celebrate your choices. Feel the joy of aligning your actions with your values. Revel in the freedom of giving your Fs only to what truly matters to you. JOMO isn't about becoming a recluse or rejecting all social invitations. It's about being intentional with your choices. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and money are precious resources that deserve to be invested wisely. When you embrace JOMO, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of trying to be everywhere and do everything. You create space for deeper connections, more meaningful experiences, and greater personal satisfaction. And that, my friend, is the true magic of not giving a F.